The council chamber of the Galactic Alliance hung suspended in the void between stars, a marvel of crystalline architecture that had witnessed 10,000 years of diplomatic triumph. Today, it would witness something unprecedented. Ambassador Chen Wei stood before the assembled representatives of 47 species, her modest gray suit a stark contrast to the bioluminescent plumage, quantum-shifting forms, and energy matrices that comprised the galactic elite. The Archon of the Vrilnathi Collective, a being of pure organized light, pulsed with what their species considered diplomatic warmth. Human delegate, the Archon's translated voice resonated through the chamber. We extend to your kind the greatest honor bestowed in galactic history. Membership in the Alliance has been offered to only 3 species in the last millennium. Your technological advancement, though primitive, shows promise. Your world's resources would serve the greater galactic good. We require only your acceptance and compliance with Alliance protocols. Chen Wei's expression remained neutral, though her pulse quickened. 6 months of negotiations, endless meetings with creatures whose thought processes operated on fundamentally different principles than human cognition had led to this moment. Earth's first contact had begun with wonder. It had evolved into understanding. And now it would end with defiance. Honored Archon, esteemed representatives, Chen began, her voice steady despite the weight of speaking for 8 billion souls. Humanity thanks you for this offer. We have studied your laws, your regulations, your history. We understand the stability you've brought to this region of space. The 1,000 years of peace among member species is admirable. A pleased shimmer passed through the Archon's form. Chen continued. However, after careful consideration, humanity must decline membership in the Galactic Alliance. The chamber erupted. The Catharix delegation, insectoid beings, whose hive mind had never encountered individual dissent, shittered in confused alarm. The Morvani Economic Consortium, who had already calculated profit margins from Earth's rare earth elements, flashed distress colors across their crystalline carapaces. Even the usually stoic Grinthic military observers shifted on their gravitational platforms. You refuse? The Archon's voice carried bewilderment that translated across species barriers. This is not a negotiation, human. This is an invitation to join civilization itself. Outside the Alliance, you are considered unclaimed territory. Your system has no legal protection. Your resources become available to any with the strength to take them. Chen smiled, and there was something in that expression that made several delegates uncomfortable in ways their translators struggled to convey. We understand the implications, Archon. We refuse anyway. Then you doom your species to exploitation. The Morvani trademaster's voice buzzed with genuine distress. The Dresnak corporatocracy has been eyeing your system since first contact. Without Alliance protection, they will strip your planets bare within a standard cycle. Your people will be enslaved under resource extraction contracts. Is your pride worth genocide? It's not pride, Chen replied. It's principle. You see, we've read the fine print of your membership treaty. Article 7, subsection 3. All member species agree to subordinate local governance to Alliance Council directives in matters of resource allocation, population control, technological development, and cultural standardization. Article 12. Member species forfeit claims to any technology or discovery deemed potentially destabilizing to galactic order, to be held in trust by the Council. Article 19. Member species accept the stationing of Alliance peacekeeping forces within their territories as the Council deems necessary. She paused, letting the words hang in the chamber. What you're offering isn't membership. It's colonial subjugation dressed in diplomatic language. You want our resources, our genetic diversity, our potential innovations, all while controlling our development and governance. You're offering us the privilege of becoming a managed reservation. The Archon's light flickered with irritation. Your interpretation is crude and ignorant. The Alliance exists to prevent the chaos that consumed the galaxy before its formation. Individual species, left to their own devices, develop dangerous technologies. They war among themselves. They create weapons that threaten all life. We learned these lessons through catastrophes that ended entire civilizations. We offer stability, peace, and guidance. This is not oppression. It is salvation. Salvation at the cost of sovereignty, Chen countered. Tell me, Archon, how many member species have developed faster than light travel independently? How many have made breakthrough discoveries in quantum mechanics or artificial intelligence in the last 1,000 years? Silence. That's what I thought. Your peace is the peace of stagnation. Your stability is the stability of a museum, where every species is preserved in amber, never allowed to rise beyond their designated role in your carefully managed order. The Cathrix mine asteroids. The Grinthic provide military force. The Morvani handle trade. Everyone stays in their lane, and nothing ever changes. A new voice entered the conversation, harsh, grinding like metal on stone. The Dresnak representative, a hulking creature of industrial augmentation and predatory instinct, pushed forward. Brave words, soft skin. But the galaxy doesn't care about your philosophy. You reject the Alliance? Fine. That makes your system free salvage. My corporatocracy has 50 harvester fleets in nearby sectors. We'll have stripping operations around your rocky planets within the month. Your homeworld's population will be indentured for 3 generations to pay off the protection debt you're about to incur. The threat hung in the air like smoke. Several Alliance delegates shifted uncomfortably. The Archon's light dimmed slightly. This was precisely the kind of aggression the Alliance existed to prevent. But without Earth as a member, they had no jurisdiction. Chen Wei's smile never wavered. You're welcome to try. The Dresnak delegate barked a laugh that sounded like gears grinding. Try? Human, your species has barely mastered fusion propulsion. Your weapons are chemical and nuclear primitives. You have 3 orbital stations and 2 moon bases. My corporation alone commands forces that have conquered 14 systems. What will you try to stop us with? Chen reached into her jacket and withdrew a data tablet. If I may, I'd like to show the Council something. She activated the holographic display. An image materialized above the chamber floor. A planet, blue and green and beautiful, hanging in the black. This is Earth, homeworld to 8.3 billion humans. Now, let me show you something else. The image shifted. Another planet appeared, This one, rocky, red, hostile. Mars. We've had a colony there for 70 years. Population, 47,000 and growing. Another image. Titan, Mu, a Saturn. Population, 12,000 in underground facilities. More images, cascading now. Europa Station. Ganymede Outpost. The Belt Settlements. Callisto Mining Operations. Venus Atmospheric Research Platforms. The chamber grew quiet as the images multiplied. Humanity currently maintains permanent populations on 14 different celestial bodies in our system. We've been expanding and adapting for a century, and we did it all before you showed up. You see us as primitive because we only recently developed FTL travel. But while other species were gifted space travel by the Alliance, we built it ourselves through trial and error, through disasters that killed hundreds of pioneers, through sheer bloody-minded stubbornness. Chen's voice grew harder. You ask what will stop you with. Let me tell you about human history. We're a species that spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of warfare against ourselves. We've survived ice ages, plagues, nuclear weapons, artificial intelligence rebellions, climate collapse, and 3 world wars. We've built weapons that could sterilize our own planet 100 times over, learned to fear them, and kept building anyway, because that's what we do. We prepare for the worst. New images appeared. Weapons platforms, defense satellites, ships that seemed crude but bristled with armaments. You think you'll strip our system bare? Every asteroid in our belt is monitored. Every approach vector is covered. We've turned our entire system into a fortress because that's what humans do when we feel threatened. We dig in and make the cost of attacking us unthinkable. The Dresnak delegate actually stepped back. Bluff, you can't possibly have militarized your entire system in the 6 months since first contact. You're right, Chen agreed. We did it over the last 200 years, after we split the atom and realized we had the power to destroy ourselves. We looked at our own capacity for violence and made a choice. Never again would we be helpless. We built defenses against threats we couldn't even imagine yet. And then you showed up and proved we were right to do it. She closed the tablet. Every human colony is armed. Every station is fortified. Every ship carries weapons. We have protocols for orbital bombardment, for biological attack, for quantum disruption, for threats we don't even have names for yet. You want to harvest our system? You'll have to fight for every meter of space. And humans? We're very, very good at fighting. The Archon's light pulsed with what might have been concern. This is madness. You would make yourselves pariahs, outcasts, constantly defending against a galaxy that views you as free resources. The stress, the cost, the lives lost, all because you refuse to accept guidance? Guidance? Chin's laugh was bitter. Arkan, we read your histories. We know about the Thelani, the species that developed bioforming technology that could have made barren worlds garden paradises. The Council deemed it potentially destabilizing and confiscated it. The Thelani faded into obscurity, their greatest achievement locked away. We know about the Kresh, who discovered a new form of quantum computing that could have revolutionized medicine. Too dangerous, the council said, might lead to artificial superintelligence. Their research was suppressed, their scientists reassigned. We know about the Voranthi, who wanted to explore beyond the galactic rim. The council denied their colony ships because it risked exposing the galaxy to unknown dangers. A species of explorers turned into administrators because it was safer for everyone else. Chin's voice rose, filling the chamber with an intensity that made even the energy beings take notice. You offer us peace, but it's the peace of the cage. You offer us protection, but it's the protection of the shepherd who keeps the flock for shearing. Every advancement we might make, every risk we might take, every wild idea that might change everything, you'll evaluate it, regulate it, probably suppress it for the greater good. That's not a future worth having. Then what future do you propose? The Archon asked, genuinely curious now. How does humanity plan to survive in a galaxy where you've rejected the only system of order that exists? Chinwei squared her shoulders. We'll do what humanity has always done. We'll adapt. We'll fight. We'll survive. And we'll thrive on our own terms. You want to know why we're refusing. It's not ignorance or pride or suicidal impulse. It's because we've learned something across our violent, chaotic history. Freedom isn't safe. Progress isn't safe. Growth isn't safe. But they're necessary. They're what make existence meaningful rather than just another form of slow extinction. She gestured to the assembled species. Look at you, all of you. When did the Catholics last produce art that wasn't approved by cultural committees? When did the Grinthic last question their military doctrine? When did any of you last do something unexpected, something risky, something that scared you because you didn't know if it would work? Silence answered her. That's what we're choosing. We're choosing the uncertainty, the danger, the possibility that we might fail catastrophically. But we're also choosing the possibility that we might succeed beyond imagination. Maybe we'll develop something that changes the galaxy. Maybe we'll make first contact with species beyond the rim. Maybe we'll just survive on our own terms. Whatever happens, it will be ours, our triumphs, our failures, our destiny. The Dresnak delegate snarled, poetic. Won't stop harvester fleets. No, Chen agreed. But this will. She activated the tablet one final time. The image that appeared made every being in the chamber freeze. It was a ship, but not like the elegant, efficient vessels of Alliance design. This was something else, a massive construct of raw functionality, bristling with weapons that ranged from primitive kinetics to cutting-edge particle beams humanity had developed by reverse engineering Alliance sensor technology. It looked like it had been designed by someone who understood war as an art form. We call them Persephone-class defense platforms. We have 47 stationed throughout our system, each crewed by 5,000 personnel, each capable of operating autonomously for 3 years. Each one carries enough firepower to sterilize a continent. We built them in secret, using mining operations as cover, because we suspected this day might come. More images appeared. Hundreds of smaller ships, drone networks, weapon satellites, kinetic kill vehicles. We've run the simulations, Dresnak. If your harvester fleets enter our system, we estimate we can destroy 60% before they reach Mars orbit. The cost to you would be catastrophic. And even if you won, we'd make sure there was nothing left worth taking. Every facility is rigged with failsafes. Scorched earth, we learned that strategy well. The Dresnak delegates' augmented eyes processed the data. The profit calculation was simple. The cost of taking Earth's system now exceeded any potential return. The harvester fleets would stay away. But the Archon wasn't finished. You realize what you're doing, don't you? You're not just refusing membership. You're threatening the entire structure of galactic order. If other species see that defiance is possible, that the Alliance can be refused without consequence, the system we've built will begin to crumble. Maybe it should, Chen said quietly. Maybe a system that requires universal compliance to function is a system that's already failed. You've built a galaxy of managed decline where everyone is safe, but no one is free. Is that really the best we can achieve? It's better than the alternative. The Archon's light flared bright. The wars, the destruction, the chaos that consumed everything before the Alliance, you have no idea what that was like. You're right, we don't. But we know what stagnation looks like, and we know what fear-based governance produces. And we choose to take our chances with chaos. A new voice interrupted, small, quiet, almost missed in the commotion. I would like to speak. Everyone turned. It was a Thelani delegate, one of the species Chen had mentioned. Their form was humanoid but more delicate, with skin that shifted through photosynthetic spectrums. Honorable Archon, esteemed council, I must voice something that has troubled my people for generations. The human delegate speaks truths we have been afraid to acknowledge. We created bioforming technology that could have brought life to 1,000 dead worlds. The council deemed it too dangerous, too destabilizing. We accepted that judgment because we trusted in the Alliance's wisdom. But in the 3 centuries since, we have watched as species after species remains locked in their designated roles. We have watched as innovation dies, as dreams are filed away as potential hazards. Perhaps the humans are not wrong to choose differently. The Archon's light dimmed. You would support this? This rebellion? Not rebellion, the Thelani replied, but perhaps a reminder. The Alliance was founded to protect life and enable flourishing. But somewhere along the way, we began protecting stability instead of life and preventing change instead of enabling flourishing. The humans have shown us what we've lost. Can we honestly say we're better off for our safety? Murmurs spread through the chamber. The Kresh delegates stirred, their quantum state form flickering with unusual patterns. Our computing research could have saved millions of lives lost to disease. But it was suppressed. For stability. For safety. I find myself wondering, safety for whom? The Archon looked around the chamber, seeing dissent for the first time in living memory. This is unprecedented. You would endorse chaos over order. Not chaos, Chen interjected. Just the freedom to choose our own path. And maybe that's what's missing from your alliance, the understanding that a life lived in absolute safety isn't really lived at all. It's just a slow decline dressed up as peace. The Dresnak delegate, ever practical, asked the question on everyone's mind. So what now? The human system remains independent. Do we simply allow this precedent to stand? The Archon was silent for a long moment, their light pulsing in complex patterns that suggested intense internal deliberation. Finally, they spoke. The Council will consider this situation. Humanity has made its choice. It appears we cannot force compliance without violating the very principles the Alliance was founded upon. And perhaps, the light dimmed further. Perhaps we have forgotten that protecting a species sometimes means protecting their right to make their own mistakes. Chin inclined her head. We appreciate the understanding, Archon. And for what it's worth, we're not rejecting cooperation. We're happy to trade, to share knowledge where appropriate, to maintain diplomatic relations. We just won't surrender our sovereignty to do it. Other species might accept that bargain. Humanity won't. Then we are at an impasse, the Archon concluded. The Council will recognize Earth's system as independent territory, though I cannot promise how long that recognition will hold if enough members demand intervention. You have won your freedom, humans. I hope it proves worth the cost. Chen smiled again, that peculiar expression that had so unsettled the delegates. So do we, Archon. So do we. The chamber began to empty, delegates returning to their ships and far-flung worlds, each carrying news of humanity's refusal. Some viewed it as madness, others as inspiration, but all understood that something fundamental had shifted. As Chen prepared to leave, the Thelani delegate approached her. Ambassador Chen, they said softly, my people would like to open private negotiations with Earth. Not for membership or alliance, but for collaboration. Perhaps there are things we could learn from each other without council oversight. Chen's eyes lit up. We'd be honored. And I suspect you won't be the only ones with that idea. Indeed, over the following months, 17 species would reach out to humanity through back channels, seeking trade agreements, research partnerships, cultural exchanges, all conducted outside Alliance protocols. The seeds of a different kind of galactic order began to grow, one based on voluntary association rather than managed compliance. The Archon's prediction proved accurate. Humanity's refusal did shake the foundations of the Alliance, but it didn't destroy it. Instead, it forced a reckoning, a conversation that had been suppressed for a millennium about the true meaning of peace and the real cost of safety. And humanity? They faced challenges, certainly. There were skirmishes with pirates, tense negotiations with aggressive species, moments when the defensive systems Chen had spoken of were tested. But they faced these trials as free beings, making their own choices, learning from their own mistakes. 50 years later, when historians from a dozen species studied this moment, they would mark it as the beginning of the Second Galactic Age, the age when the galaxy remembered that civilization wasn't about preventing all risk, but about choosing which risks were worth taking. And they would remember the human ambassador who stood before the mightiest powers in the galaxy and said a single word that changed everything. No. Because sometimes the most human thing you can do is refuse to accept the limits others would impose. Sometimes the greatest strength is the courage to stand alone. And sometimes the only way to truly live is to risk everything for the freedom to choose your own destiny. The stars continued to burn, indifferent to the politics of those who moved between them. But the species who looked up at those stars from 1,000 worlds now saw them differently. They saw not just light and distance, but possibility. They saw not just the safety of known paths, but the adventure of unmapped territory. And somewhere, on a blue-green world circling an unremarkable yellow star, humanity looked up at those same stars and smiled. They had chosen the hard path, the uncertain path, the free path, and they wouldn't have had it any other way.